All right, let's return to the major news of the terror threat. This caravan filled with enough explosives to create a 40-metre blast wave. I have confirmed today that it's something the Jewish community and security organisations were not told about. I spoke earlier with David Ossip from the Jewish Board of Deputies. He's now calling for 24-hour security presence at Jewish schools, and he confirms no Jewish organisation that he's aware of knew about this prior to the Daily Telegraph. Here he is. David Ossip, thank you so much for joining us on what's been such a difficult week yet again for the Jewish community. What do you think needs to be happen now to keep the community safe?
Sharri, thank you so much for having me on the show. And you're right, this has been another extraordinarily challenging week for the community. And just when you think you've seen it all, we are surprised on the downside. This incident in Dural is understandably giving deep concern to the community. If successful, this would have been the largest terrorist attack in Australia's history. The explosives in the caravan were enough to set off a blast which would have had a radius of 45 metres. So we are talking about a crisis which has escalated to very, very serious proportions. And the community is understandably concerned at the moment. And we have written to the New South Wales Police Commissioner this afternoon, and we've requested 24-hour police resources outside all Jewish schools and preschools.
I mean, that seems like something that's so important right now when you think of the threat, when you think of the fact a caravan was found with enough explosives that would have created, and this is according to police, a 40-metre blast wave. Have you had a response from the Police Commissioner yet to your request for 24-hour security outside Jewish schools and preschools?
We are still awaiting a response from the Police Commissioner. But you're entirely right. These are very serious circumstances in which we find ourselves in. It is grotesque and sickening that school children have had to rock up for their first day of school and walk past egregious messages of anti-Semitic hate. It is appalling that parents have had to explain to their children what they're seeing, and that parents have had to explain to their kids what the Jewish community has been experiencing, not just for the past 15 months, but for the past few weeks, where the situation has escalated to crisis-like proportions.
Yeah, it's one of the most abhorrent things that we've seen, a preschool firebombed and graffiti outside schools. You know, how can anyone be so sick as to target children or the places where children go? It's just absolutely despicable. David Ossip, I want to ask you about when you were told of this latest threat, the caravan with explosives. Were you told about this prior to the Daily Telegraph publishing their story?
No, the first we had specific information about this incident was when the Daily Telegraph article was published. The Premier and Deputy Commissioner Hudson then held a press conference. Immediately after that press conference, the Premier was on the phone to me, Deputy Commissioner Hudson was on the phone to me, and they provided a full briefing. But the first time that we had any information about this caravan was when the Daily Telegraph published their article on Wednesday.
And that's the same for any Jewish community or security groups. That's my understanding, that no Jewish community or security groups were informed prior to the Daily Telegraph publishing. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. To the best of my knowledge, that's correct.
Were you disappointed in this because especially security groups might have taken different action had they known about this threat?
Look, we are fortunate as a New South Wales Jewish community to maintain a very strong working relationship with the New South Wales government and also with a range of law enforcement agencies. And by virtue of having those relationships, there's a continuous flow of information between our community and between law enforcement. And generally, where there are items of concern, they are raised with us. The message that we've received from law enforcement is that there were special circumstances, operational reasons why they were reluctant to share any information about this. And I think these questions are best directed to police about what those operational reasons were, but we take them at face value.
Yeah, we do have to give them the benefit of the doubt, no matter how disappointing it is. As far as you're aware, have the potential targets of this attack been notified at all?
Yeah, the potential targets have now been notified.
Okay, and they would presumably be stepping up security arrangements in light of this.
Look, there is elevated security at all communal institutions at the moment.
Yeah, as there should be. Now, the Premier has shown very strong leadership. We see it every day. His words are so strong. He gets it. He cares. But the Prime Minister, first thing this morning, he went on Kyle and Jackie O's show. He was laughing about his Christmas holiday. David, do you think he's taking this seriously enough?
Well, as soon as this matter was publicised yesterday afternoon, the Premier was immediately on the front foot and held the press conference with Deputy Commissioner Hudson. The Prime Minister was nowhere to be seen. The first contact we had with the Prime Minister was when someone from his office sent us a text message with his statement. We still haven't heard from the Prime Minister. We haven't heard from the Home Affairs Minister. The number one priority for government is the protection of its citizenry. And frankly, the Prime Minister and his government, they've overseen a crisis of anti-Semitism and now a crisis of domestic terrorism. And frankly, the Prime Minister needs to stand up and recognise how serious this situation is, what he's allowed to evolve under his watch. And he needs to start taking this matter very seriously and give it the attention that it deserves.
Absolutely, you couldn't be more right. It didn't start with this wave of domestic terror, as you so accurately put it. It started on the Opera House steps. It started with the hate preachers. No action was taken, and now here we are. David Ossip, thank you so much for your leadership of the Jewish community and for doing your very best to keep everyone safe at this time.
Always good to be with you, Sharri. Thank you so much.